to use a one-step buttonhole foot. My name is Dennett. I'm a sewing content creator, sewing pattern designer, and I have a degree in fashion design, and I've been sewing for about 13 years, so I've made a lot of buttonholes. So I'm going to be talking through my tutorials and my tips of how to use a buttonhole. This is roughly what a buttonhole foot looks like. They do vary slightly depending on your brand. Roughly, this is how they work. Section here where it attaches to our sewing machine, and then here we have the gap. And then at the top of it, we have this bit that moves up and down. This bit moves up and down to fit your button in. For the machine to know how big the buttonhole that it needs to sew, we need to put our button that we're going to be using for that project in this top bit here. We've opened our top bit slightly, depending on how big the buttonhole is. We put the button in there and we push it down really tightly, so that's locked into place. So it's got the measurement within the foot of how big the button is that is going to be going in your project, so the machine knows how big the buttonhole is that it needs to sew. So here's my tips of using the buttonhole. First off, we want to get the buttonhole in the foot before we attach it to the machine. It just makes it a little bit easier. You know it's secure in and you know it's all fitting in. Then it's a little bit easier to then attach to your machine. When we start to sew a buttonhole, no matter how many you've done in the past on other projects, it's always key to test it out before you use it on your actual main project. Because once the buttonhole has been sewn, it can damage the fabric, it can be unpicked, but sometimes it is a little bit visible. So the key is to always test your buttonhole multiple times. So when we do the test, we're looking for if our thread is okay, if it's moving okay, if the foot is moving okay, because when this foot is being used, the machine moves it up and down on its own. When this is moving, you do not touch it. You may need to guide the fabric, but you do not touch it. You just let it do its thing. If you try to guide or move it, it might not work out correctly because it knows how many stitches it needs to do and go back up. It's in its routine. So do not touch it when it's moving. You also want to make sure that on your tester that you're using the same fabric that you are using in your project and the same density. Again, because it's moving around, you want to make sure that it's moving freely. Any sort of bumps or lumps or anything that might stop it, it doesn't move freely, and then your buttonhole just keeps sewing on the same point and then it ends up smaller than you need. As well, you want to make sure that your width and your density of your stitch is okay, and sometimes it's good just to do a test so you know what to expect, to make sure that your width of your buttonhole is correct on your garment and all your buttons are placed correctly. So that is the buttonhole.